I'm George Thomas, and I'd like to talk to you a bit about your marvelous mind and some definitions of terms and what hypnosis is and is not, because it will be very useful to you once we go into a session. It will help things go smoother and help you understand what's going on. Hypnosis has been given a very clear definition by the United States government, Department of Education, Human Services Division. The definition is as follows. Hypnosis is the bypass of the critical factor and the establishment of acceptable selective thinking. I'd like to explain further, make a little change. I'd say that it's through the establishment of acceptable selective thinking that we're able to bypass the critical factor. The first part, the establishment of acceptable selective thinking, refers to following instructions during the hypnotic induction. The bypass of the critical factor refers to the effect that hypnosis has, the ability for the client to accept and then use the hypnotic suggestions that were given during a session. We all use the same language, except everybody perceives things a little bit differently. So again, talking about your marvelous mind and parts thereof. Excuse me. The unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is your body's consciousness. It's developed before you're born and fully programming, knowing how to take care of all the things it needs to in order to keep a body running smoothly. It knows how to breathe, defend itself from infections, digest food, and so on. Your unconscious mind is intelligent and can learn. This was proven by the work of Dr. Ivan Pavlov when he showed that these autonomic responses, such as salivation, could be trained by pairing autonomic responses with other stimuli. If you heard the story, he introduced food, rang a bell, introduced food, rang a bell, introduced food, rang a bell. At one point, the dogs were so conditioned to the bell that he rang the bell, did not introduce food, and they salivated. Sometimes the unconscious mind, meaning well, will program us to do things that are not in our best interests, such as a child who learns to feel sick to avoid going to school. The unconscious mind can then learn to actually generate symptoms, such as a headache or stomach ache, in order to protect us, because the unconscious mind is always working to protect us from stressful situations, against infection and injury, yes, but that's not all. In its mission to protect us, it can also cause us to desire unhealthy substances if it believes that these can help us relax or cope with stress. Fortunately, hypnosis can be used to overcome this unfortunate accidental programming. The subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is nearly the part of our consciousness that defines who we are and what we do on a consistent basis. Altogether, it makes up our personality. The subconscious mind starts off empty when it's first developed, before you're born, and then starts gathering information from our experience and perceptions around us, gathering information, bringing in data. This gathered information is held in our permanent memory, containing all the information that we gather throughout our lives. It's like a computer database, except that, unlike a computer database, the permanent memory seems to be unlimited in how much information it can retain throughout our lives, unless the brain is damaged by physical trauma or disease. Some of this information in the subconscious mind is then turned into habits and cause us to react automatically to people and circumstances in our lives. This information is also developed into beliefs. Beliefs are things that we think to be true, even though we may not have definite proof. Having a definite proof would allow us to be in a state of knowing rather than just believing. The subconscious mind resists change, which is mostly beneficial to us. It conserves a great deal of mental energy. This enables us to maintain a consistent personality throughout our lives, but can cause problems when we decide that a change in how we think, feel, or behave is in order. This is where hypnosis comes in. Hypnosis allows us to rapidly make changes in how we think, feel, and behave. The subconscious mind is always working to protect us from what we know, meaning believe, to be dangerous. As our perceptions about what's going on around us interacts with our beliefs about how things should be, it generates emotions. When the subconscious mind perceives what it believes to be a dangerous situation, it generates fear. When it perceives that you've been treated unfairly, it will generate anger, as an example. Hypnosis can directly affect these beliefs and habits in a way that using the conscious mind alone can rarely accomplish. Speaking of which, we'll next talk about the conscious mind. Hi, it's me again. The conscious mind is really a focus of consciousness. It's filled with what we're attending to at any particular moment. It's illogical in its approach to dealing with what you are attending to consciously. It's a great protector and problem solver. It does this by thinking through new situations that confront us. But the conscious mind is very limited. A great deal of psychological research has been conducted regarding the capacity of the conscious mind. As a result, it's been determined that the conscious mind is only able to hold 7 to 9 bits of information at any given moment. Because the conscious mind is so limited when compared to the subconscious mind, it's easy to see why most people fail when they try to make significant changes in their lives through conscious effort alone. We must make these changes at a subconscious level to make long-lasting change in our lives. Here again is where hypnosis comes in and can help you make the changes you really want. The critical factor. There's some controversy about that. Some say it's an aspect of the conscious mind. I think it's a set between the subconscious and unconscious and conscious mind. It doesn't really matter where it's placed in the stages of consciousness so much as what it does. The critical factor is the function of mind that decides that new information is either true or not true, or at least worthy of significant doubt. That which is deemed to be untrue information still enters your subconscious mind, but it goes into that database of information. It's known to the subconscious mind, but given little or no credibility. There's unlikely any change is going to happen. In other words, this is deemed to be true. It reinforces long-standing habits and beliefs inside us. If it's deemed to be untrue, it's just information. It's the responsibility of the critical factor to keep what is in the subconscious mind consistent. This saves a great deal of mental energy. If the subconscious mind had to regularly rearrange its contents, especially habits and beliefs, constantly reorganizing it would be mentally exhausting. So unless the critical factor is provided convincing information so strong that it's able to overcome existing beliefs and habits, new information is simply recorded but not integrated into our personality and consistent behaviors. It just resides in the subconscious database, not to be acted upon. This is where hypnosis comes in. If you remember the definition of hypnosis, it causes a bypass of the critical factor. This allows a client to accept suggestions at both the subconscious and unconscious levels of mind. The essence of the critical factor is that of being protective. As long as the suggestions that are given to you are not going to endanger you, the critical factor will remain in a state of bypass so that the individual can accept suggestions. There is no state of hypnosis that can overcome this protective function. Your mind will protect you. Some professionals now agree that hypnosis is not sleep. Most professionals, I must say. If I use the word sleep, I don't mean normal, natural sleep, like when you go to bed at night. When I use the word sleep, I'm simply suggesting that you go relaxed as if you were asleep, but not that you should actually go to sleep. Hypnosis is not sleep, and if a client went to sleep, they would miss out on the whole thing. Anyone of normal intelligence who is willing to follow suggestions can be hypnotized and benefit from hypnosis. Because more of mind is participating, the person with a higher level of intelligence will tend to have greater success at hypnosis. The ability to focus helps you do better. And hypnosis is happening all the time. And I'm going to talk to you about that in a moment. Hi. Understand that you've already been in a state of hypnosis many times. Okay? When a client works with a hypnotist, they'll enter in a state of hypnosis by following the instructions of the hypnotist, then go into that naturally occurring state of hypnosis purposefully so that they can receive the hypnotic suggestions that they came in to receive so that they can make the changes that they want to make. You've already been successful in obtaining the hypnotic state many times. It's safe and natural. Watching television as an example. Highway hypnosis is probably the most well known, and everyone's experienced that if they've been on a long car drive or you've been in a situation where did I miss my exit or not? I got my mind distracted or whatever. Or I pulled in the driveway and how in the world did they get there? I don't know. The car knew the way home. Another type is naturally occurring hypnosis or trance state is naturally occurring anesthesia. One of the services I provide is called hypnodontics, and all that does is talks about dealing with the dental procedures and helping folks with those areas. Anesthesia just means not feeling pain or not being conscious of pain. I've had times, for example, when I've had a bruise or cut on my arm, but been unable to recollect when the injury may have happened. You get busy and you get focused, extremely focused on some task, and you look up and, oh, look, you're bleeding. I had no sensation of pain. Well, it's because of that focus. If you had the injury without being in that state, it might be very painful. There are naturally occurring negative hallucinations. What's that about? Well, I'll give you an example. One of my teachers talks about the time when he thought he would like to have some ketchup with his food. And he looked at the table and noticed there was no ketchup on the table and then said to himself, there's no ketchup. Then went to the refrigerator and looked at the top shelf and again said, there's no ketchup. Looked at the next shelf and again said, there's no ketchup. Then he looked at the next shelf down and saw that there is no ketchup. Focused on his search for the ketchup, he turned to the door of the refrigerator and looking at each shelf, not noticing any ketchup, said, there's no ketchup. He says he turned to his wife and she said, of course there's ketchup. It's in the refrigerator. This time he focused and looked at each shelf once again, saying to himself, there is no ketchup. Then in exasperation, she came over and then she pointed her magic finger at the door and he followed it with his eyes and shazam, the ketchup miraculously appeared. This may have happened to you with keys or a purse or something, and it is not weird. You are normal. It is a naturally occurring state of hypnosis. When he looked at the table and saw that there wasn't any ketchup, he said to himself, there's no ketchup. He kept repeating the statement over and over. As he did this, his subconscious mind, because of his focused state, accepted the statement as true. Then when he finally laid his eyes on the ketchup, because he had become convinced that there wasn't easy, he didn't see it. It's very easy to go on this deep level of hypnosis and not even know it. It feels quite normal. Finally, hypnosis is safe. In fact, no one has ever been hurt by simply going into a state of hypnosis. We go into hypnosis all the time. Hypnosis is a state of heightened suggestibility, the ability to accept things at a subconscious or unconscious level. At every level of consciousness, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, there is a protective function of the mind, which will automatically reject any suggestion that would normally seem dangerous. In fact, any suggestion that sounds dangerous or would hurt us in any way would typically cause a client to emerge from hypnosis. Hypnosis has been recognized by the AMA since 1958. It's been used by many professionals in medicine and psychology throughout the 200 years history of hypnosis safely. Hollywood has made up all kinds of things about hypnosis which were designed to sell movie tickets and not really to tell the truth about hypnosis. Some of this misinformation that's been put in the minds of moviegoers include that the hypnotist has some kind of special power, or that a hypnotist has control over the person who's in hypnosis, or that someone could become stuck in hypnosis. These things are simply not true. Hypnosis is a consensual state. A client must want to be hypnotized for me to be able to work with them. Furthermore, in order to continue to be in hypnosis, he or she must continue to follow instructions or they will emerge on their own. Millions of hypnosis sessions have been conducted and no one has ever become stuck in hypnosis. And you will not become zombified because a person can emerge from hypnosis anytime they want to. All they have to do is want to emerge and discontinue following the instructions of the hypnotist. When someone is in hypnosis, they never become unconscious. In fact, you'll be more conscious, more aware than you normally are. All three levels of your mind, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, will be working in sync. Anyone with normal intelligence who's willing to follow suggestions can be hypnotized and benefit from hypnosis. Because more of mind is participating, the person with the higher level of intelligence who wants to will tend to have greater success at hypnosis. Those with vivid imagination tend to do well. The ability to concentrate and focus helps some people do really well and make rapid progress. But anyone of normal intelligence who is willing to follow suggestions can be hypnotized and benefit from hypnosis. Which is why I say that, in my opinion, hypnosis is the single most effective tool in the field of educating or re-educating the mind to truth that is useful, allowing the understanding that supersedes our limiting beliefs and or behaviors and establishes the acceptable selective thinking that enables better life circumstances in any number of areas. When you work with a hypnotist, you will simply be using this natural ability to bypass the limiting beliefs so that you can benefit by thinking on purpose. And when you go into hypnosis in daily life, some former unacceptable automatic behavior may be replaced by habitual behavior that helps us rather than hurts us. To sum it up, hypnosis is a natural state, normal, it's safe, and it's effective.